is with us. Raequan Williams, Joe Bachie as well, three members of the Michigan State defense here to join us, guys. And you know, last year, look, by a lot of teams' measures nationally, it's a pretty good season. I mean, you guys were a bowl team. You were a solid team. You won some games. Yet I know the standard of Michigan State. I know what you guys expect out of yourselves, and it wasn't quite up to the standards that I know you guys have set. So what are the biggest takeaways that you take from last year? And let me start with you, Joe, and then work your way down, guys.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of a down year. 7-6, just not our standard. Maybe some teams in the country, they shoot for 7 wins or bowl game. But, yeah, you know, we had 10 wins the year before. We had a little bit of a dip. Offense, defense, we had struggles on both sides of the ball. And I know defensively we're trying to work on finishing in the fourth quarter a little bit this year.
Raequan?
The biggest, I don't think it was not what we planned. It wasn't a season that we planned it. And we know our talent. We know the talent that we have on this team. So that's not acceptable at all. So we definitely want a championship, and that's the goal.
Yeah, like Joe said, 7-6 isn't good enough. We didn't come to Michigan State to go 7-6. We came here to win championships, and that's our goal coming into this season. That's what we've preached all offseason, that by the end of the season we want to end up in Indy raising that trophy.
Each of you guys probably could have gone to the NFL. You all had opportunities to do that. You all chose to come back. I'm interested. I know everyone's reasons are different. Maybe, Kenny, you could start. Just give us a sense of the thought process. I think people would be really interested to know, when you are an NFL caliber player, and there's certainly a belief that all three of you are, how do you weigh the pros and cons and make that call?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the most difficult decisions of my life, thinking about that. Talked to my close friends, my family, you know, prayed about it. And, you know, coming down into that bowl game, I was kind of on the edge, kind of undecided on the border of maybe leaving. And then I broke my leg, so it kind of helped make my decision for me. But, you know, I believe everything happens for a reason, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to come back to Michigan State and finish what I started.
For me, it was my parents, my mom and Mackenzie. I consider my mom too. So my parents basically made me in a way graduate. But it would have been pretty cool to me to be the first to graduate and the first to go to the NFL in probably in my whole neighborhood, honestly. So that was a goal that I wanted.
Yeah, for me it was basically to get my diploma. You know, that's the main reason I came back. You know, these two have been a part of the 2015 team, going to the Big Ten championship. And for me personally, and the rest of the guys here, we want to leave our mark on something. So this year, get to the Big Ten championship, win it in Indy. That's our goal. Get my diploma, and then we'll chase our NFL dreams after that.
You guys were part of what was a really good defense a year ago. I mean, all three defensive players here, and yet I've got to believe you all think you can get better. So tell me how this defense could be better, Joe.
Well, we always talk about getting more pressure on the quarterback, and that's their jobs up front. You know, creating a couple more turnovers that could potentially lead to scores. You know, we've had 1 touchdown in the past 2 years defensively, and you know, to up our game another level, we want to get a couple touchdowns and you know, maybe get a little spark going, maybe a little snowball effect, so we can get a couple more throughout the year.
Definitely what Bachie said. We just want to affect the game a little more, just in the sense that taking the ball off the offense and scoring touchdowns, just affect the game a lot more.
Yeah, starting up front, we want to get more pressure on the quarterback. We realized last year we didn't get enough pressure on the quarterback. We did a good job stopping the run, but getting sacks wasn't a big area where we were good at. And then getting the ball off the quarterback, strip sacks, turnovers, forced fumbles, and being able to put our offense in better positions to score and possibly even scoring ourselves.
Kenny, your name's on a lot of All-American lists. Joe, you are as well. What's it like to see your name up there among the elite players in college football?
It's pretty crazy. It's a pretty crazy feeling. It's an honor. Honored to be up there. But for me personally, that doesn't mean a lot. That doesn't really matter to me. What's on before the season, the preseason list. What matters to me is playing on Saturdays and at the end of the year, being in Indy and raising that trophy. That's my main goal. I don't really care about the personal accolades or the personal effects. I want to win a championship.
All right, so Raequan, I'm interested in getting a sense from you. I mean, I mentioned Kenny was the defensive lineman of the year in the Big Ten last year, and you know, you line up alongside him. Give us a sense of what makes him so great.
What makes Kenny so great is his instincts. I feel like he got a great feel for the game, and sometimes he can just call a play out to me, like, hey, slide down to another gap or something like that, just so his feel for the in-game situations, I feel like is what makes him so great. He has a great feel for the game.
You coming after him for that defensive lineman of the year?
Yeah,
This
definitely. He already know. He already know I'm coming. I'm on your back, bro.
Yeah, Raequan, Coach D'Antonio was talking earlier about what a great representative you are of this school. You're from Chicago. You're back in your hometown. I know Chicago has been mixed for you. You've had a lot of tragedy in your life, and some of it traces to this city. What's it like to come back here with everything that you've been through, representing your university?
Oh, man, it means everything because moments like this you don't think will happen, and stuff like this you don't plan to happen. From you don't have a plan of this happening where I'm from. You know, where you come from, where I come from, is not a plan to go to Big Ten Media Day one day or stuff like that. So it means everything to me. So, and I appreciate Coach D giving me the opportunity to come here and be with my guys. It means everything. So.
What's your favorite Chicago food?
I'm gonna have to go with the deep dish pizza.
All right. Where would you take these guys?
I would take them to Lou Malnati's. I like that place a lot.
All right. Is that on the agenda for
yeah,
tonight?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Lou Malnati's. It is now. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it is now. It's all right, too.
I mentioned all three of you guys defensive players, and the offense was an issue last year, and I know they would be among the first to say it, too. I mean, it's kind of indisputable. Give us a sense of what that's like. And Kenny, we can start with you. When you've got one side of the ball that just knows it's not living up to its potential. And injuries were a huge part of that story last year. And I think it is important to mention how banged up they were on that side of the ball. But what's that like when you just can't get one side going?
It's definitely an interesting dynamic, but I'd say the biggest part of it is you just got to stay as a team. You got to know what happens on the football field. You know, you leave that on the football field. Once we get back in the locker room, once we get off the field, like, we're a brotherhood, we're a family, and those are my guys that I'm going to ride with regardless, no matter what. So, you know, this offseason, you see a lot of the offensive guys, Brian Lewerke, Darryl Stewart, Cody White, the offensive line, taking a lot of ownership, they're taking it upon themselves to try and get better and try and reach a championship level, which is good to see.
What have you seen, Raequan?
The biggest thing I seen was just the togetherness that it brought, because of all the guys are so down on themselves because of what media is saying about them and everything. But if that inspires them to come together, you know, and because a lot of media guys don't really even know football, honestly, and I be trying to tell these guys, don't let somebody tweet something and change your whole mood, you know. We still come to work every day, all of our offensive guys, just like Brian Lewerke, all those guys, they all came to work every day, even though we had that season, and everybody was blaming it on them. So it was a lot of different mental toughness came with that for those guys, and those guys responding well now.
Where have you seen the biggest strides in the offense, Joe?
Definitely leaders stepping up, guys that you've never seen. They're kind of in the background, stepping up, being leaders. And I see that 2017 Brian Lewerke, that guy who wants it, that competitor. You know, we had it last year, got banged up a little bit. But he's going to be all right. He's going to be all right. He's got a strong shoulder now. He's throwing with a little bit of zip on the ball. The receivers are playing well. We need to find our running back still. And, you know, once our O-line gets going, you know, our offense will blossom this year, and we can do some special things.
You mentioned players who were in the background before, now stepping up. Who are some of those names? Give us a sense of who maybe we need to look for on the offensive side of the ball that are guys we hadn't heard a whole lot about before.
Yeah, just for example, when I brought up Cody White, obviously he's a guy that gets all the media attention, but he was never that leader, that vocal guy, the guy who pushed people. And now he understands that, you know, when you see Felton leave, we need another guy to step up. Cody White's that guy. Darryl Stewart's that guy. And once Brian gets going, our offensive line, I'm telling you, we got weapons everywhere. We just need to figure out our running back right now, who's going to be our guy.
Any other individuals that have made big strides that stand out to either one of you guys? I can start with you, Raequan.
Just the O-line. I feel like all those guys responded this spring. All those guys, you felt it when you were playing up against them this spring. Like, everybody came out there with a purpose, and I feel it off that offensive line. They're getting better, and they're coming together.
Definitely, yeah, the offensive line, you could tell they took a big step forward this spring. But for me personally, I think Jacob Panasiuk, the younger, the Panasiuk brother, he's been, you know, he took it upon himself to really get better this offseason. He's been putting in the extra work. You see him out there every single day after practice, after lifts, after runs, getting extra hand work in, getting extra running in. And he wants to be that other guy on the other side of the defensive line that really comes and blossom this year. So it's going to be a big year for him.
I don't know if you guys saw the announcement earlier today, but BTN is going to be doing a film this year on the Michigan State rivalry. If someone asked you to encapsulate that rivalry for that film, What would you say? How would you articulate the rivalry?
I'll just say it as simple as possible. We don't like them, they don't like us. That can be the title of the rivalry for all we care. But it's a great rivalry. That's why you come to a school like Michigan State, to play the best. You want to compete against the best, and just every day we come to work for games like that. You love playing in stadiums like that, 110,000 packed. It's a fun atmosphere, and I'm looking forward to that game again.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that game. That was like the first thing I learned when I got on this campus, that we have to beat Michigan. So they definitely emphasized that, and the stress on that rivalry is probably too much to measure, honestly.
I just say intensity. When you're out there, they, like Joe said, they don't like us, we don't like them. When we lose, I got to go back home. I'm from Michigan, so I got to go back home. I got to hear it for you. People are on one side of the fence or the other. There's no in between. You're either a Michigan fan or you're a Michigan State fan. So, if you lose, you got to go live that down back home, or you can go back home glorious, victorious. So, for us, it's a big battle.
Success for the Spartans this year is what, Joe?
Making it back to Indianapolis.
Big Ten champ.
Yeah, you can't put it any other way. We got to win the East first. We got to take care of our side, and then get back to Indy and see what happens from there. Like I said, we haven't been there as players. They were there red-shirted, and we like to leave our footprint on something.
Yeah, definitely a Big Ten championship. That's that's what we're chasing. That's the legacy we're chasing.
Big Ten championship, back to Indy.
All right. Kenny Willekes, Raequan Williams, Joe Bachie, thanks so much, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate the time.
Thank you.